The council chamber fell silent as Elder Vrax's voice cracked through the tension. You fools. You absolute fools. Commander Zelthar of the Kryn Empire dismissed the ancient being with a wave of his clawed hand. The holographic display behind him showed Earth, a blue marble suspended in the darkness, isolated and vulnerable. The humans are primitives, Elder. They've barely achieved interstellar travel. Their colony on Proxima was unfortunate collateral damage. Collateral damage? Vrax's 4 eyes blazed with something the younger species had never seen in him before. Fear. You destroyed their first extrasolar colony. 15,000 souls. Children, Zelthar, children. The Kryn commander's mandibles clicked in amusement. They should have chosen a system outside our expansion corridor. The galaxy operates on strength, not sentiment. Around the circular chamber, representatives from a dozen species murmured agreement. The Galactic Council had stood for millennia, built on the principle that might determine territory. The humans, newcomers who'd only discovered faster-than-light travel 30 years prior, were simply learning the rules. Vrax rose from his suspension pod, his ancient body trembling. I am 800 years old. I have seen species rise and fall. I have witnessed the burning of Trilaxia, the siege of the twin suns, the cleansing of the void nests. His voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the vast chamber. But I have studied humanity. And I tell you now, retreat, apologize, beg their forgiveness. Because if you don't, there will be nothing left of the Kryn Empire but cautionary tales. Laughter erupted. Even the typically stoic Matharian delegation allowed their gas sacks to pulse with mirth. They have 37 warships, Zelthar said, bringing up tactical displays. We have 17,000. Their most powerful weapon yields 800 megatons. Our standard planetary pacifiers yield 40 gigatons. The mathematics are simple, Elder. Perhaps age has finally caught up with your legendary wisdom. Vrax looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of species he'd called friends for centuries. None would meet his gaze. Then I will say this once more and let history record that I warned you. Humans don't fight like we do. They don't surrender like we do. And they absolutely positively do not forgive. He left the chamber to renewed laughter. That was 6 months ago. Now, Commander Zelthar floated in the escape pod, watching his flagship break apart in silence. Around him, the pride of the Kryn, Armada, 200 vessels that had conquered 40 systems, burned like dying stars. The humans hadn't come with warships. They'd come with everything. Cargo haulers retrofitted, with weapons that violated 17 council treaties. Colony ships turned into kinetic missile platforms. Even civilian pleasure crafts equipped with crude but effective railguns. And things the Council had never imagined. Swarms of drones controlled by networked artificial intelligences. Relativistic projectiles launched from beyond the system's edge. Weapons that seemed designed not for war but for spite. But it wasn't the tonnage or the firepower that broke the Kryn fleet. It was the methodology. The humans didn't engage in honorable fleet combat. They didn't follow the established protocols. They struck from everywhere and nowhere. Ambushes that lasted seconds before they vanished. Traps laid months in advance. Cyber attacks that turned the Kryn's own systems against them. And they didn't stop. Zelthar had offered surrender after the first engagement. The humans ignored it. He'd offered reparations after the 10th. Silence. He'd offered his own life after the 20th, broadcasting on every frequency, begging for a chance to negotiate. The response finally came from a human admiral whose voice was flat, emotionless. You wanted to teach us how the galaxy works. Lesson received. Now we're teaching you how humans work. Through the pod's viewport, Zelthar saw them approaching, not a warship, but a small courier vessel. It matched his pod's velocity with precision that made his military-trained mind ache with respect, despite his terror. The airlock cycled. A single human stepped through, wearing a simple uniform with no decorations except a patch. Proxima Colony Memorial Fleet. She was young, perhaps 30 in human years. Her eyes were dry, but Zelthar could see the weight in them, the kind of weight that never lifted. My daughter was 7, she said quietly. She wanted to be a xenobiologist. She had a collection of pressed flowers from Earth, and was starting one from Proxima. She'd written a letter to the Kryn embassy asking if she could visit your homeworld someday to study your ecosystem. The human's voice never rose, never wavered. The letter was in our habitat when you fired. I am sorry, Zelthar meant it. He'd given the order from orbit, watching trajectories and optimal firing solutions. The ground had been abstract, numbers, thermal signatures. I know you are. The human pulled out a small device. Elder Vrax sends his regards. He's been trying to negotiate on your behalf. Did you know that? For 6 months, he's been pleading with my people to accept terms, to show mercy, to remember that the Kryn have families too. Hope flickered in Zelthar's chest. The human crushed it with her next words. We told him the same thing we're telling you. We don't forgive. She activated the device and Zelthar's pod's display lit up. Behind him, the human fleet was moving, not toward council space in general, but toward one specific system. The Kryn homeworld. Wait, the council will intervene. The other species are staying very quiet and very still, the human said, because we sent them Elder Vrax's testimony, and we sent them our response. And we asked them, do you want to be next? She moved back toward the airlock. Your escape pod has enough life support for 36 hours. After that, the rescue beacon will activate automatically. We haven't jammed it. Someone from the council will probably pick you up. She paused at the threshold. We want you to live, Commander. We want you to float here and watch what happens to your homeworld. And then we want you to spend the rest of your life telling everyone who will listen. Humans don't forgive. And you should have heeded the Elder's warning. The airlock sealed. The courier ship departed. And Commander Zelthar, supreme military leader of the Kryn Empire, pressed his face against the viewport and watched the distant spark of his homeworld, knowing exactly what was coming and knowing with absolute certainty that there was nothing he could do to stop it. In the council chambers, Elder Vrax sat alone, watching the same feeds. Around the galaxy, 1,000 species watched and learned a lesson that would echo for millennia. Some species fight until they can't. Some species fight until they win. Humans fight until you can't. And they never, ever forget.